I am usually in a mask at the front desk taking orders from you. So, I would like to introduce poems of my late husband, Daniel Kunene, and I could talk about him forever, but I will just give you a brief synopsis of who he was. Professor Daniel Kunene was a renowned South African award-winning author of poetry, short stories, and translations, as well as an acclaimed linguist, scholar, transcriber of South African oral works, and translator of South African writers. He was a civil rights activist and spokesperson in the long struggle against apartheid in South Africa. After teaching at Oxford and UCLA, my soulmate walked from our home in the Madison Historic District and taught at UW-Madison for 35 years. Several years before his death, in 2016, he received his second honorary doctorate. The first two poems I will read tell a little bit about how he grew up in a mud hut in a village in a black location in Edenville. The first one is called I Awake While the Village Still Sleeps. And there is a word in here called a kaross, and I'd never heard of that word. It's actually an African garment made of animal skins. So you'll hear this in the poem. I awake while the village still sleeps, as dawn's darkness deepens. I step outside and walk past the cattle fold. A cow belches and chews the cud. Its horns, like spears, silhouetted against the morning sky. The cold dew breathes my bare feet and bathes my bare feet as the fresh breeze brushes my skin underneath my kaross. Moshe's dog barks lazily twice. I disturb an owl, and it hoots into the darkness. Free at last from the sleep-enshrouded huts, I run in circles, throw off my kaross, spin around, arms outstretched, till dizziness and gravity wrestle me to the ground, and I lie face down, eyes shut, on the dew-laden grass, feel the earth rock me round and round. Then I turn on my back, and for a long moment, just stare at the sky. Then I get up and walk back to the house, dangling my kaross in one hand before the sun shines on my nakedness. And some child runs by and shouts, I saw a naked man. Thus I am renewed, born again, as the sun's head emerges in the east. And the next poem I will actually read from Daniel's book of poetry. It's called The Rock at the Corner of My Heart. And this poem is called Evening Falls. And this is a little bit about what happens in the evening in a little black location. Evening falls, the fire, lately smoking in a brazier in the street, now sits smokeless in the center of the kitchen floor of earth. Mother, kneeling by fire, or sometimes her proxy, big sister, stirs the cornmeal mush from the furious, bubbling, spluttering liquid, adding a handful of meal at a time to a calm, solid mass, hissing hot stream. We may or may not have a fellow traveler for the bland and lazy mush to smooth its passage from mouth to gullet to stomach. A relish, maybe, like spinach or beans, or just lard and salt. Unaccompanied mush is a reluctant journey, like a simmer of plodding towards, like a sinner, plodding towards heaven without an angel. Or the stubborn mule that gets stubborner with every blow from the anger-driven master. It creates stress in the eater's throat. Meat, too rare a presence in this house. But there's conversation around the fire, boys sitting on the floor with knees drawn up, girls with legs decorously tucked under them, brother teasing brother, sister, brother, sister, brother, minor quarrels, mother chiding gently, father's stern look, enough. The next three poems are my favorites because these are the love poems that Daniel wrote for me. And the thing I want to say about them is that he wrote them unknowingly to me, and every time he went somewhere to present his poetry, he'd always say, darling, I've got a surprise for you. And I'd be sitting in the audience, and he'd read one of these poems. The first one I'll read is called First Date. One of the best ones I've ever had in my life, I might add. There's a couple of things that are in the poem. He calls the Civic Center, which is the overture now. It was the Oscar Mayer Auditorium in the Civic Center when we went. And I lived at Kennedy Manor at the corner of Wisconsin and Langdon, which is still there, owned by my good friend Fred Mose. Anyway, here's the poem, First Date. I did not truly remember your face. So many months had intervened of casual meetings with hello, how are you? Just fine. Given for an elusive truth yet to be discovered. Kennedy Manor's antique aristocratic elevator creaks and rattles and groans towards the 5th floor, where I turn right, forgetting left was the right turn. Then, pivoting on my toes to correct my left to the right, a quick, lively step brings me to number 511, and I knock on your door, one glove in hand. The door opens and I gasp, you look stunning. The words escape through my now till now pent up breath. Black patent leather pumps, sheer black hose, black skirts with a side slit for stealthy glances, black cashmere V-neck, string pearls, and drop pearl earrings. But your legs. With outstretched hand, you say, your gloves, your coat, a small champagne before we go. The champagne, the seductive calming aroma of the many multi-scented flickering candles relax me gently as I sink deeper into the sofa. We'll have the rest when we return, I say as we get up to leave. In the Oscar Mayer Auditorium, John DeMain's magic wand blends a diverse world of strings and horns and winds and bugles and trumpets and clashing, sizzling cymbals into the harmonious world that makes diversity so beautiful. And our clasped hands, my left and your right, affirm this purpose of creation. We too feel the oneness we cannot deny as our two-ness explores the goodness of the oneness that we could be. Intermission proves it. We're united by music and Merlot. And I don't have any idea how he remembered all that, but he wrote it 2 years after we met. The next one is called The Music of the Violin. The gods favored me in my moment of loneliness, placed gently in my hands a Stradivarius. Breathes into the Stradivarius in me the knowledge to sing. I play first a pizzicato with my nimble fingers. I plunk, I pinch, I twinge, I tickle the strings for naughty pleasures. Then up and down the scale, a gentle brush with a bow, and I tap and pat the sounding chamber. And sensitive to a fault, the Stradivarius murmurs sweet strains like human voices falling from heaven. And strains, the Stradivarius speaks to me, entrances me with a diminished chord that hovers tantalizing over the precipice, slides into a dominant chord to deliver us into a tonic statement. And the music of the violin floats away, 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 to live forever in the ensuing silence. This one is called, oops, I lost my place. It is not the clouds. My beloved, it is not the clouds flitting across the moon, nor the few windowed lights dotting the otherwise sleepy neighborhood, nor the floor beneath our feet, reminding us we're secure on this deck. It is not this cool air First, just a pleasant caress, then daring us with a few degrees of cold, till we said, let's go inside. Nor is it the trees' soft love moans, or the stars, hardly visible tonight. No, my beloved, it is neither the clouds, nor the moon, nor the nightly widowed lives of sleeping neighbors in their silhouetted homes, nor the breeze, nor the stars. But you, holding my hand, reflecting in your eyes these interwoven meanings that speak of love. All right, the next two have to do with Daniel's undying devotion and determination for civil rights and human rights all during his life. And of course, he stood for he stood against apartheid. And despite apartheid, that's how he received all his degrees. This one is called The Butterfly, and that's what I have on. The butterfly. This is actually Daniel's wedding ring that my jeweler fashioned into a butterfly with symbols from the poem, The Music of the Violin. The butterfly was also written on his memorial. The butterfly. Do not presume to tell me, O impetuous man, where I may or I may not fly. I am an untamed spirit, veering with the winds of my choosing. Your own civilization has become narcissistic, monstrous, whose burial ceremonies will remain unsung for lack of mourners. But I am everlasting, for the spirit that is in me cannot be trammeled in the sands of time or space. Even as you look at my broken wing, or my body, mutilated by your tar-squelching monsters of steel, and in your ignorance, presume me dead. And therefore, as I flutter, or dissect the air in geometric designs, and light upon these soft petals, or the trunk of a mighty oak, my seeming frailty is my strength. For I, being all spirit, am the very essence of freedom, and my triumph over your chains is the triumph of freedom itself. And the last one of Daniel's poem that speaks to his life mission is called Why Should It Matter? Why should it matter whether the young one speaking to piece the world together is pink or brown or red or yellow? Whether it is your child or mine? Seek we not to guide the hand, to watch it trying this piece, then that one, and then the next, assembling the world into a new place? Why should it ruin my sleep? Whether these defiant castle builders who keep casting their eyes to the sky, waiting for their castles to float down to earth, have sharp noses or flat, or long hair or short. I would only worry when the dream is killed, when Zim's shadow darkens the door of life, crashes into a school, brings foul-smelling smoke into the clean and pure air that nourishes the brain and opens the path of the soul. I should rise up in anger with Zim's shatters the castle while drinking a cocktail of blood on a Sunday afternoon. For them, I see the killing of life itself in a child's eyes, glazing over, the luster now dying, that shone upon a star far away. This shall always matter. A child's dream, pregnant with promise. Not to miscarry at Zim's behest, but to prosper into a sunrise. This I shall always care about, whether the child be mine or yours, or pink, or brown, or yellow, or red, for without different colors, there would be no rainbow. Is there time for somebody to one more poem, or enough is enough? What was that? I'll read one more that I love. This one is by B. Richards, who was an African-American actress as well as a poet. I heard Ruby Dee do this on television, but I thought Ruby had written this, but actually it's by B. Richards. It's called Today is Ours. Today is ours. Let's live it. And love is strong. Let's give it. And peace is dear. Let's bring it. The past is done. Don't rue it. Our work is here. Let's do it. The world is wrong. Let's right it. The battle is hard. Let's fight it. The road is rough. Let's clear it. The future vast. Don't fear it. Is faith asleep? Let's wake it.